Welcome back, everybody. Now for more on last night's first presidential debate. For that, we want to welcome North Dakota Governor and Trump campaign surrogate Doug Burgum. He has been mentioned as a possible vice presidential pick for Donald Trump as well. And Governor, welcome to the program. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Becky. Great to be with you.
I take it you just heard Senator Coons laying out his defense of the differentiation between the two candidates yesterday. What did you see in terms of differentiation last night?
Well, I think I saw what the American public saw, which is that President Trump is strong on the issues that matter to them, and President Biden is weak, and not just weak in his performance last night, but he's been weak with our foreign adversaries. He's been weak in anything related to the economy. He's been weak on the border. And I think last night, the American people got to see what a lot of people have been trying to hide, which is that it's not just about a bad debate performance. I think Americans have to wake up today with a sense of apprehension, which is, who's running the White House? I mean, if it took a week of preparation to deliver last night, what's happening today at the White House? Who's actually running the country? And last night from Joe Biden, when you talk to the American citizens today, they're worried about the issues you talk about on this show every day: inflation, high interest rates. There's nothing offered last night by Joe Biden about how he's going to turn those things around. And of course, a lot of talk about immigration, but it's not really about immigration. It's about national security and it's about public safety. Those are the issues that the actual voters are concerned about today when they talk about having an open border. So I think you're going to see a ton of momentum for President Trump today. He's off to a rally in Virginia. Enthusiasm is high. The donations are going to keep climbing. And I think, the Democrats are going to head to the locker room and try to decide, who should be on the playing field.
Governor, is the Trump campaign's tactic, I guess, at this point to try and talk about what it sees and what it wants to see happening in the country? Or is this more of a case where you stand back and let people focus on President Biden's performance from last night, what the Democrats may be doing?
Well, I think there's going to be a few days here where there's going to be a lot of focus and a lot of people, scrambling, wondering whether Joe Biden, it's not a question of, can he make it to the convention in July? Can he make it to the election in November? I think, again, for Americans, not the only people not watching the show just wasn't Americans. Putin was watching last night. The Ayatollahs were watching. The China was watching, and all of those folks, you say, what's the national security risk for our country between now and next January? It's considerable. So I think there's some bigger issues that have to be discussed in not just in the White House, but among Democrats about leadership in our country for the next 6 months. And of course, President Trump's message is really resonating with people around the country. That's why he keeps climbing in the polls. His map is going to keep expanding to places like Virginia and Minnesota, and it could be a historic win. But for the business folks watching this show, and of course I spent 3 decades in business before I ever ran for public office, and you'd have to say, if you're a board chair or you sit on a board, would any board in America, for a local nonprofit to a small business to a family business to a big corporation, would any board say, hey, it's time to renew Joe Biden's contract for another 4 years. Let's go for it after what they saw last night? I can't imagine any board in America doing that. So for folks to keep this facade going that somehow this is the guy that can lead the country for another 4.5 years, I think is a disservice to the American people.